The real terminology is attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And in the DSM, it says you're either inattentive or you may be impulsive or hyperactive. They give a large list of things that are behaviors that a person who may suffer from ADHD has. And I would say there is over 27. But if you have six, then you can be diagnosed with ADHD.
Welcome to Acting Smarter Now. I'm Lydia Nicole, actress, producer, and career strategist, dedicated to helping actors break through the noise, own your craft, and transform your career from undiscovered to unstoppable. Today, my question for you is how can embracing neurodiversity help actors and creatives tap into deeper authenticity, innovation, and power, both in their art and how they navigate the industry? Well, today I am honored to welcome Coach Alycia Wells, a neurodivergent performance coach and fierce advocate for creative minds who think differently. Through her work, she helps actors and artists harness their unique wiring as their superpower, transforming what others might see as limitations into sources of genius, clarity, and unstoppable self expression. You've said before that your neurodivergence is your superpower. Can you start by telling us what that means for you and how actors and creatives might begin to reframe their own unique brain wiring from a challenge into their greatest strength?
Yes, I do consider it to be a great superpower. However, if I don't have frameworks, I'm all over the place. So, growing up, I always thought something was a little off, a little wrong because I never fit in. But growing up, I read a lot. That was my thing. I didn't socialize a lot, but reading books helped me to build frameworks. And therefore, I am a creative. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades because I was interested in a lot of things. So, with people being neurodivergent, whether it's autism or ADHD, there is no reason at all. It's not a reason or a setback or a reason to say you can't do something, right? We are made for adversity, and that's why I love my ADHD, right? I absolutely love it.
Okay, you just said we are made for adversity. And with divergence, I will also include dyslexia because that is what I have. So we're made for.
Adversity. And it's so cool because I am best friends with a lot of people that have ADHD or neurodivergent, and they may not even know, but we can see each other, right? Like they can make a mistake or we can make a mistake, and it's like we laugh, because it's okay. And that's what I love about community. But the reason why I believe that we are meant for it is because if we put our minds to it, we are the ones who, in chaos, we can perform at our best. Okay. When we're pushed to it, we can, and people sit back and say, hey, how is she able to do this? And it's because we are, I believe that we're wired this way. I know that the DSM-5, which is I guess, and I have to check with my notes, DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, it seems like it's gloom and doom, right? It's gloom and doom, and you can't concentrate. Oh, yes, we can. We can absolutely concentrate. It just depends on if the thing is interesting enough to us, right? So, those are seeing our superpowers and how we can use them to push ourselves forward. But I have seen myself and other people, even doctors who say I have ADHD, but they're able to perform under extreme pressure. And I love to like actually see it. It's like, wow, and that's what made me stand tall and say, you know what, I can put my mind towards anything that I want to do. And it doesn't, ADHD, neurodiversity doesn't stop me.
Can you explain to me your boss mindset framework?
Yes. Well, this was something I created for myself. Like everything that I have, like frameworks, I've created because I needed them. So, because we have sometimes executive dysfunction in our brains, we're not our own boss, right? We just go from thing to thing to thing. So, I created the boss mindset, which is always have a blueprint, always be organized, always have systems, and then how you sustain those systems. So, that's what I created actually for myself. And now I teach it because in anything we have to have those things. We have to know why we're doing it. Why are you here? Right? Because we'll volunteer for something just because we're excited. Oh, it's so exciting, right? But not knowing why you're here and what you're good at and what you can do, or can you learn for someone and then have organization. I have to. That's something I have to have, or I will be all over the place. So just sharing what I've learned, these three things of to tame our dysfunction is to have a boss mindset, to know, hey, I have to be a boss, I have to be organized, I have to have systems. And what am I going to do to sustain this thing?
So the boss mindset includes
Having a blueprint, understanding what you're doing, why you're here in any situation, organization, systems, and sustainability.
what does systems look like?
Oh my gosh, systems can look like a lot of things. So it's something that we create and we continue to do it every time. So creating a system for any single thing, just for like getting up in the morning, I have a system that I have to do. It can be a routine. Yes, it can be a routine. So my system in the morning is I get up really early, about 5 a.m. in the morning, and I have my quiet time and I have my coffee and I take my coffee to my back deck and I drink my coffee, I pray, I do devotional, and I have that. And I do it every single day, no matter what. And that helps me to be, myself, not overly anxious or fidgety. So anything like that can be an actual system, right, that a person creates. Or I know your community are actors and actresses. So having something that you can go to on a daily basis that you have created that makes you feel comfortable, gets you ready for your day can be a system. The way you learn your lines, it can be a system. It doesn't have to be someone else's, or it could be, but it just has to work for you. So that's what I mean by systems.
In that space of creating your blueprint, can you tell me what the blueprint is that you're talking about so we're on the same page here?
So with a blueprint, that just like when you're building a house, right? This is always my basic go-to mindset, right? And when you're building a house, you have to have a plan first. You can't just start putting up 4x4s and, building a house. You have to know why, the big why you're doing something. I'm building it for shelter. I'm doing this, I want to make a beautiful home for my family. You have to have a reason why. So this is what I mean by the blueprint. So you have to have an idea of why you're doing this. So you have to have it hopefully written down, take it from your head, write it on paper, and then make it happen. However, that is for you, whether you're a techie, but always have something written down first or in your computer. Okay. Have a blueprint why you're doing this thing.
As you're talking, I'm thinking my blueprint is a combination of my vision, my mission, and my goals. I put
Absolutely.
that together. That becomes my blueprint. I write it out because when I have a blueprint and I want to share it with people who are helping me build, I need to show them what it looks like. I cannot verbalize it because they may not understand or I may forget it, right? So
Yes.
the blueprint must be in writing. We must write it down so we can keep referring to it. And maybe as we're unfolding this, I'm thinking this also fits into your systems. So
Yes.
if I'm looking at my blueprint every day when I
Every
wake
day.
up, go to the back porch, have my coffee, do my devotional, do my prayer time, whatever I do when I first get up, I am also including my blueprint in that. I'm
Yes.
including my goals, my vision, and my mission. What is it that I want to do in my career? What kind of work do I want to have? What will it look like? and how will I take steps to get there? So, as an artist who either is autistic, has dyslexia, has ADHD, has Tourette syndrome, or any other part that separates them from the other people.
The
I don't want to
rest.
say
Yes.
regular. I don't want to
Yes.
say the regular people.
Neurotypical.
I would say probably half of the actors and actresses and even the creatives in Hollywood are neurodivergent creatives, because we all feel like we are different. We don't
Yes.
fit in. You know, as a kid, like you, I didn't fit in because of my dyslexia. I thought I was stupid. Everybody would get the information and I didn't. But then there were things that I excelled in. Like I loved Scrabble. Oh my God. I discovered Scrabble in fourth grade when I had a tutor who was helping me learn. And part of how she was helping me was by playing Scrabble with me. And I thought that was the best thing in the world. And to this day, I love Scrabble. But you were talking earlier about it's not that we can't learn stuff, it has to be interesting for us.
Yes.
So, with that interesting thing, because we want to have that boss mindset, how can I make something as a divergent creative? How can I make it more interesting, even though I don't find it interesting?
Right. Even though you don't find it interesting, right? And that's huge. Finding it, even when it's something that you're like, oh, this is boring. I know one thing that I love to do, and everybody can do this. I love to cook, right? I am a baker. So I can do that with my eyes closed. So when there's something that I'm not that interested in, I associate it with baking. Okay. And this sometimes I talked to another neurodivergent friend and I was like, hey, I said, do you ever think backwards? And she's like, huh? I said, well, I love cooking and I love to see how, before I start a recipe, I love to see how it looks first. I have to see, how the inside of the cake looks, how it's decorated. That gets me motivated to make this cake. I don't just look at a recipe. It's boring, one dimensional, just black and white recipe. No. So I said, do you find that you have to see what something looks like first before you even attempt it? Are you excited about it? She said, absolutely. And I said, yes. I got excited because someone else saw me and I could articulate that, and only maybe special people like us actually get it. But a lot of things I have to see what it actually looks like. What are we looking at? What is this supposed to look like? What's going to get me excited? So that's why we see people taking ownership of how they learn. And that's the huge thing that gets us excited. Find your excitement, find how you learn, find out what's exciting to you. And good old fashioned, I'm one of those people that if I have to get excited, I turn on music and I dance. And that just sends me ooh in my brain, and my endorphins and all the dopamine spark, and then I can work. I have to take ownership of it. So that's how I see it. We can all do that.
I love that. I love the analogies that you're giving, because I see you and I see me in that space of I have to see it before I can do it. I have to. You can tell me 20 which ways from here to eternity. It's not going in.
That's right.
But if I can see it,
If I can see it.
oh my God. And I love cooking. And for me, I have to go to the store and see the food and let it talk to me. And then I go, that's what I'm going to make. It's not just, oh, I'm going to make this rice and beans or this pasta dish. Oh, no, I got to go into the store. And I know I disturb people, because if it doesn't look good, I'm not touching it. It's gotta, if it looks good to me, then I know it's going to be tasty.
Yes.
And when it fools me, because sometimes it looks good on the outside, right? You get a piece of meat, it's wrapped in cellophane, it looks delicious, like, oh my God, this is going to be the best hamburger I have had. Then you get it home, you break the ground beef in half, and it's all brown in the in the middle, and you go, this is not what I
Not what I,
wanted.
but
And
still you can do magic with it. You can do magic.
I'm not there yet. When it has disappointed me, I do not want anything to do with it. But I just think, whereas somebody else would say, it's just meat, just do it. It's just meat, just make the burger. What's the problem? For me, it's a problem because I think that we do process things differently. And that's why a lot of us are creatives, because we process it in a different way. Whether you're an artist or not, you are still creative. There are a lot of divergent people who are accountants, but they do it in a way that's creative for them. They're not doing the cookie cutter route. They have to caress the numbers. They have to tell you why it works and why this fits into that hole. And they're very colorful with how they explain it.
Because they found their thing, they found their zone. And that's what I love about any profession that is out there. You know when somebody really enjoys what they do. They really, because they can see underneath and all the cool ways that they can be creative with something. So I think creatives run the world. I mean, that's actually just my belief. This is just how it is.
And you are true,
Yes,
because God is the ultimate creative, and we
absolutely.
are little creative. So yes,
Yes,
that's
yes.
how it is. And when that creative has gone off the rails, then it's horrible. But we are all creatives. Yes. I want to ask you, this title ADHD shows up all the time, but I think people sometimes use it wrong. What is ADHD? What is the real terminology for it?
The real terminology is attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And in the DSM, it says you're either inattentive or you may be impulsive or hyperactive. They give a large list of things that are behaviors that a person who may suffer from ADHD has. And I would say there is over 27. But if you have six, then you can be diagnosed with ADHD. Now, I've heard it many times, but as a slur or a way to discredit someone or dismiss someone to say, and I hear it a lot, even as a woman talking to other women, and I tell them what I do, and she said, you know what? My husband called me that the other day, and she said, I said no. And I'm like, wow. And I just take it in. And that's one reason why I do what I do, to take away the stigma, to say it. It's not something that I don't announce it all of the time. I usually just sit with it and listen to different conversations. And then I may say something, but I really just decided really a year ago, even though I've been an ADHD coach, I kind of kept it, because I was afraid of what people might think or what people might say. But with growing my community, it's like I'm going to say it louder and louder and louder so people can see what it actually looks like. It's everyday people, right? And we have jobs anywhere and everywhere, right? So there's
Right.
no I heard someone at the grocery store just yesterday. I went shopping and she was training another young lady and she said that her boss was on the spectrum. And I just put my head down and just kind of I walked to thank you, appreciate it. But I'm like, well, she's your boss for a reason. That was like she's your boss for a reason. But those are just the things I hear it all the time. But again, I just want to put a face to it. And people in general don't know that they actually have it. So I want to say, hey, here's some things that may be an issue. I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but I am devoted to learning more and more and helping women just like me to know that anything that you want to do, no matter what it is, that you can do it. We just have to be more self-aware and know, some of those things that may call us to derail, you know?
And it's hard for kids who are neurodivergent, because a lot of times the parents don't know how to deal with them in a productive way, in a way that builds them up. So they
Yes,
medicate them,
yes,
especially kids with ADHD.
yes.
They get a ton of medication. Then they grow up, they feel that they are of no use, which is such a lie. And it is, and I've experienced this with interns that I've had who had ADHD or had some kind of learning disability and were medicated. And now they're adults. And it's like, okay, how do you show up in the world and start to not medicate yourself,
Right.
but learn how to use what it is that you have in a good way, and not in a way that makes you feel less than, because someone's saying, oh, they're on the spectrum. We know what that means. That's not a good thing. And there's nothing wrong with anybody being autistic, but we tend to use it as to weaponize it against them. ADHD, we weaponize them. We use that word as a weapon. It's like I'm going to cut you down to size instead of, oh, what is their superpower? Because I'm in agreement with you. I think that people who have these learning disabilities are high achievers in different areas. Like they excel like nobody's business. If they find that thing that they connect with, they are unstoppable. I'm thinking of Tom Cruise, who has dyslexia, and he probably has ADHD too, but he's able to just focus all of that stuff and say, okay, I'm going to be the number one action hero, action adventure actor in the world. He's same thing with Will Smith. I mean, that when you can identify what you have, and then say, this is going to be the thing that I'm going to be known for. Wow.
I have done research on several celebrities, and just because I'm in awe of them first, Will Smith was one, and Simone Biles. So there's many, and a lot of people who don't talk about it. They do not want the stigma of being ADHD or neurodivergent. But one thing that makes me kind of laugh, I always knew Will Smith because he did actually come out and say it. But when I saw him, the big, slap, I said, oh, wow, that's the impulsiveness. He stood in his mind, he stood on something. He wanted to protect his family.
On a principle
Or he
that
wanted to
he
protect
had.
his
Not
saying it was right or wrong,
right.
but I saw that as a behavior. And I was just like, oh, wow, he's having a moment. He was having a real human moment. But yeah, things like that do happen. Those are things that we want to avoid.
And I will say something about Will Smith, whatever you think of him because of the slap. I think that's just human nature. I think I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it happens.
It happens.
It happens.
Yes.
But what I will say about him is, as a boss, I had the opportunity to go to their offices. He had a section which I thought was brilliant. It's something I do on a low scale, but I saw him do it on a high scale. He has a corner in the offices where there were places where you could sit and read. And they had a shelf, like a big ass bookshelf of maybe 5 to 8 copies of the same book that you could take, and you can sit there during your break time and read the book, or take it home and read it. And I was in awe of it. In awe. Let me just tell you, I've been in many, many offices. I've been around many, many A-listers, but that was the first time I saw somebody who has something that the world might consider a hindrance.
Yes.
And I said, this guy knows what is needed, because as somebody who has people who work under them, I work with a lot of interns, a lot of young people. I'm always giving them books. Sometimes we do a little book club, whether they like it or not. We're going to be reading this book. I need you to read from page so-and-so to so-and-so, because we're going to go and have a meal, and we're going to sit and talk about the chapter. And I have done that with my interns. And I think it's important, especially if you have a learning disorder or
Mhm.
what is considered a learning disorder. I think it's just that you're not interested, but that's another story. To be able to sit around with a group of people and discuss it, it's like we belong to Morning Meetup. And
Yes.
what is one of the great parts of that community is that we have a book that we read every month, and we share, we discuss, and we talk. If you have ADHD, if you are autistic, if you whatever is going on that makes you different, to be in a community where you can hear other people talking about how they're processing the book is
Yes.
really helpful.
Yes, it is very helpful. And I am an avid reader. I love reading. And every time I purchase a book, I always get two because I intend to give it away. If someone's interested, hey, go ahead and take it. And they're like, oh. So that just gives me life to do that. So I can definitely see that in Will Smith. A lot of us are self-learners, right? The traditional way of learning is, not sometimes it's not our thing. But for me, once I read a book on a subject, I can go and get the next level and the next level. And that's my way of self learning a topic and then implementing that in my life. So a lot of us, as being neurodivergent, we can present like, oh my gosh, he's so smart and he's so smart because, yeah, we educate ourselves in our spare time, right? Like, and even movies to go along with it if it's along the subject that we're studying. And that's how we gain this knowledge. And also, you said community. Oh my God, community has changed my life. I was a person who was afraid of putting myself out there because of being bullied in my younger years, because I was a little bit different. I didn't want to do what everyone else did. I just wanted to do my own thing, didn't follow the crowd. So I kind of protected myself in my 20s, and I didn't want to be involved in any type of community because everybody else was out to get me. That's what I thought in my head, right? So getting older, I found out that there is no way that I am going to be successful alone. There's no way. I cannot isolate myself. So in making that decision, I came out of my shell and started to join groups. And I'm like, okay, these people aren't so bad. Let me let's do the and then taking it further. But it became even deeper for me after I watched a movie called Join or Die. Now, this is, I know that the title sounds, kind of weird, but it's still on Netflix, and it was about the state of the world and how we've become isolated since, I believe, the 70s. And the reason because of that was really television has taken hold of us actually communicating and growing with each other, sharing ideas. So from having different types of leagues, bowling leagues, just all types of groups out there, and whatever interest you had, there was a group for it. And those groups have diminished over time. And even understanding that, it's like, wow, this is why churches were so active. They're not as active as they used to be, but it brought attention to having more communities. And this is what I love about creatives. They find each other. They find each other, they practice, and I love that. I love that. When I was middle school to early high school, I attended the School of Creative and Performing Arts, and that was huge for me from a shy little girl to be able to be in this school with very intelligent, highly creative people. It just sparked that in me. And I was a writer, that was my major. And I will never forget that experience that I had because everything was done together, nothing was done isolated, nothing. So that's another testament to how instrumental it is to have a community to keep you going every day, to check on
Yes.
you, see how you're doing. Hey, you can get a little bit better at this, or constructive criticism without feeling like, oh my gosh, they hate me. No, this is to make you better.
And to challenge you, right? It challenges when
Yes,
you're in
yes.
community, it challenges you. So we're in a couple of, just full transparency, we are in an AI community, and she kicks total butt. creating apps and coming up with systems and all this stuff. And for me, it is so exciting because I go, oh wow, I could do that. Okay, show me how you did it. And it really does help. And for actors, I think community is like breathing. You got to be in a community, and you got to be in a community that is supportive, in instructional, not a dictatorship, but it just like leading you, like, okay, let's go here, if you go that way, this is what's going to, who really give you the information, which is why I started a group called Acting Smarter Circle, to help actors not veer off like Will Smith did, where he felt impulsive to beat Chris Rock, but that you can have your feelings, but let's stay on path, because we got to get to where we're going. And sometimes our feelings will sabotage us, and we
Absolutely.
have to use our feelings for good and not evil,
Absolutely.
because we have feelings, and it's okay to have feelings, but don't let the feelings have you. And I think when you are a divergent person,
Yes.
sometimes you
Mhm.
and you haven't found structure, you haven't found systems, you haven't created your blueprint, that you go off the rails every day. As for actors, I can always tell when an actor is special, because but two things, I can tell when they're not on point, when they're not on their path,
Mhm.
because they act out in the street. They will
Mm.
act, they need to have a show everywhere they go.
Mhm.
They don't save it for the stage, they don't save it for the screen. It's like, it's showtime now. And those impulsive moments to do a show in the middle of the street, or in a supermarket, and stop everything, can really cost you a
It
career.
absolutely, absolutely. Just understanding, your emotions, and sometimes it only lasts for a little while, right? Having ADHD, it can be like, say you're going up for a role and you did your best, so you thought. And then, you're denied that particular role. Sometimes for us as ADHDers, it can hit us in our soul, and just feeling like nobody, we can go on a loop, oh, I'm not good at this, I haven't had a job for this long. I mean, just go down, a rabbit hole in our own feelings. But to know that first and foremost, that the feelings will pass, okay? This is just a feeling. Let it, acknowledge it for what it is, and actually letting it go, knowing that this is what it takes. Nobody has become successful with doing everything right. And
Yes.
as a entrepreneur, we're told no, 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 no quite often. But to know that that doesn't actually mean no, just not taking, in this instance of being successful, and just going through life, it's not always going to be in our favor. But if we continue to move forward, we're building our own, what I like to call an algorithm. We just keep going. The odds are you're going to come out on top if you continue to go in the path.
Consistent.
Yes,
being
consistent.
consistent being consistent and believing that what you have is crucial,
Yes.
because we get sidetracked
Hmm.
by no's and forget why we're doing what we're doing. And
Absolutely.
sometimes you're taking your gift or your craft to the wrong place, and
Yes.
they are going to say no because you don't fit their stuff.
Right.
When I first started out as an actor, I wanted to be with the top agents. Well, I wasn't ready for those top agents, so I had to learn to, okay, what level am I at? you know let me find what level I'm at for agency, and then I can build upon that. But instead of going, well, William Morris wouldn't take me, so therefore there's something wrong with me, that's not true. And a lot of times, to your point, is we have to detangle us not being worthy or something being wrong with us, and really being objective and going, are my skill sets at that level?
Absolutely.
And are we aligned together? Because I might want to be with Issa Rae, with her company,
Yes.
but we're not aligned.
Right.
What she does is different from what I do. So
Mhm.
why would I get mad when they say no? I'm not a fit. Why
Right.
would, and understanding that, and not that it doesn't happen. I had to learn not to take it personal. And the thing that helped me was I took a job as an assistant to a filmmaker, and so I got to sit in the room when they were auditioning people. And I got to hear the conversations on the other side, that there were a lot of great actors, but they did not fit the story that was being told, the canvas that they were painting on. It was like, I remember fighting with my boss and saying, well, she's really good. Why is she? Well, she's too tall. That guy is shorter. We can't have that, and they have a system going back to, they have a way it's going to look. And it has nothing to do with the person's talent. They want
Absolutely.
to present a certain landscape. And so that is true, that when you as an actor go up for something, they go, well, you were too short, you were too tall, you were too light, you were too dark. They're not saying anything about your talent. They're looking at how you physically fit with that other person, or chemistry. A lot of times you have chemistry readings with the lead actor, and it doesn't work. Your chemistry does not align. And you see this in movies, that people get put into the leads not because they match, but because they're looking for them to put butts in the seats, right? And then you go, oh, that was a terrible movie. They didn't even have any chemistry. Well, at that moment, they weren't looking for chemistry. They were looking at who was going to bring the butts to the seats in the
Right.
theater. And so they're all kind of different reasons. But as a creative, you have to maintain your center and not let that affect you. And maybe consider doing your own stuff, finding somebody that will work well with you so you could create your own stuff to do your best work, that only you know what it is. We're filling roles, but that may not be our best work. And which brings me to your book. Share with us about your book and why you decided to write it.
My book is called Finish It, The Art of Follow Through. And a lot of times, us as creatives and neurodivergents, we have an issue with completing things. We have lots of ideas that we never show the world, because it's not good enough, right? I saw this over and over again, first in myself, right? I have so many notebooks and journals and things I've created that didn't see the light of day. And I learned that I was not the only one. So I decided, hey, let me write a book about this. Okay. So the book was intended for myself first. Okay. So I know a lot of books are built out of mastery. I accomplished this, that, and the third. But for me, it was more so me coming out to the world and saying, I created this framework and I use it every day. And this is what is helping me continuously every day because I follow, the frameworks. So that was my real passion to complete something, right? In my own right. And that's why I, wrote the book. And I also just wanted to share some things, behind the scenes of what kept me motivated to finish, because having an idea is very sexy, right? Just so sexy. Oh, I got this idea. This is going to be amazing. And then day three, we're like, eh, close the notebook. So I wrote that book for the people who are amazingly brilliant to, follow along, right? And it's not something, it's very simple steps that you will take, but have finished work, have something that has your name on it and say, hey, I completed it. Yes, your emotions are going to fizzle out. Yeah, you're not going to be as excited, right? Because nothing's like that. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it like that first cigarette. You know how that first cigarette, I've never smoked, but that what people tell me is like you're constant in search of that first high from a cigarette. So that can't last. It's not, that feeling is not sustainable, but that project or your idea is brilliant. Find people that are going to help you to bring it to life because it is, and I had to get this through my thick head. You can't do it alone. You can't. The first steps are, as I said before, it comes to your mind, you have to write it down. And then you have to talk about it. You have to speak it. And you have to practice it, right? So even days when you don't feel like it, right? Days that you don't feel like it, practice. Practice until you're excited.
Well, and sometimes you don't like that first puff, that thing that you were first excited about, that excitement never shows back up.
It never, yes.
But you owe it to yourself to complete it because there's somebody on the other side that needs it.
Absolutely. And that was my driving force behind me completing this project is because I knew other people out there that needed this, right? People who may not are outspoken or well spoken, or some people may be out there nonverbal. It was so many people that I wanted to reach and I could amplify their voice. So it was much more than, a business or just a book. I knew that I had something that somebody else needed, right? And I wanted to be a helper in a way, to get them started on their journey to finishing things because nothing, like you have done nothing if it's not finished, if a project is not done. There is nothing.
Amen. And going back to the importance of a nurturing community to hold you accountable to say what's happening with that project. How's it coming? And having somebody that is an accountability partner, how important that is to have the accountability partner to say, Alycia, you didn't do that. You said you were going to do those 10 pages. I'm waiting. And I love accountability. I thrive on it because I know that I'm slippery. I know that I like shiny objects. I know that, my daughter gets on me all the time because we'll be talking about something and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wow, what just now? She gets so mad at me. But my brain is just going.
Because we're looking for that excitement. And when it comes, it's like, ooh. So that's absolutely it. It's even if you don't have ADHD, this world is built to distract us. That's the way it's built. And it wants our money, it wants our time, it wants our attention.
It wants to steal our purpose.
That's right. It does.
That's all. It wants to keep us distracted so that we don't fulfill the call that God created us for.
Amen. Amen.
That's at the end of the day, that's really what it is. All the scrolling you do on social media, when you're doing that, just remember you're not doing your purpose because you're too busy scrolling. Take that, put that little demon in a drawer and get to what you need to get to.
Yes. And it's always going to be information, right? And that's why it's like for me, overload. It's, information overload does me no good at all. None whatsoever. And I'm not going to say I don't get caught up.
We all do, yeah.
And here I go and I say, oh, I have to put it down because I already know, like, I know enough today to get done what I need to get done, right? What I have today. And, I do a lot of mantras in my head, and that kind of keeps me on an even path because I believe capitalism thrives on people like us with ADHD because they know we're already easily distracted. The economy is built on people like us. So just to say, hey, I see you. And nah, not today. Not today.
And also stay focused. You talk about time management, putting that in your systems. Part of your system is like, maybe it's the Pomodoro technique, where if you got to finish something, can you put an hour into it? Can you do 25 minutes, set that timer, take a 5-minute break, and then come back, do another 25, take a 5-minute break, and then go on about your business? If you can just do that every day, an hour every day, to put it to something you need to finish, you're going to finish it.
Yes. And here's something I have to say about that. I do have to speak up for my people because a lot of people do not understand passing of time. And with ADHDers or neurodivergence, it's a thing called time blindness. I'm telling you, it blew my mind, okay? Because I thought all this time, because I'm hyper vigilant of time, right? Before I know how much time it take me to get to the grocery store, back home, or to travel somewhere. That's just how I guess that's one of my
That's one of
zone
your
of genius.
special
That's
powers.
one of my special
Mm-hmm.
powers. However, I do get hung up with how much I can do in 1 hour.
Oh, God. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I do too.
That's like, oh yeah, this will take me 3 hours. And not understanding that one thing could have 8 steps. Okay. But knowing this now, I can say, okay, I'm not understanding that this may take me 3 days instead of thinking, hey, 1 hour. Right. So now I'm more aware of it. But it's another thing with time blindness where an hour can seem like 5 minutes for someone. Okay. Or you can have that person who always shows up late. It can go either way, but I found out that mine showed up like that, which I would prefer that than having total time blindness. You can tell time, but the passing of time, you know, your body can't really tell. So those people, having on a watch, like seriously and paying attention, but just telling them, hey, do this for an hour a day, we have to actually break it down a little deeper for them. Okay. So they can actually feel what an
Yes.
hour feels like. And that's where community, or what they call now body doubling, having someone there with you.
I love that. I didn't know that was the name that was being given, but I love that process to get a friend. Hey, can we get on a Zoom for an hour? You do your work, I'll do my work. And then we have the timer on. The time, 25 minutes, okay. We did 25 minutes. We have to get up now, go do a dance, drink some water, go to the bathroom, go get the mail, do something else for 5 minutes that's totally not including what you were just doing the last 25 minutes. And when that timer goes off, you're back to the races to finish that project that you started. And what I like about that is there's somebody across the screen right there with me. And I need that. I need that. There's something
Isn't
about
it
that.
something to it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so reassuring. You're not by yourself, because so many times we feel like we're by ourselves. And so then we don't do it because nobody is watching us.
And no, yeah. And not having that accountability there. And again, people like us having those systems there in place for us. Like we need this. We need to have that there.
Yeah.
Or I guess I can say structure as well.
Yes.
Brilliance needs structure.
Yeah, and so that you can make those deadlines, because you can be brilliant and have people banging on your door to work with you, but if you don't make those deadlines, they're going to stop banging on your door. They're going to go, oh, this person is not, they're full of crap, let's go. They're going to the next one, and you don't want that. You don't want them to leave you. So how can you set yourself up to win? And I think, going back to community, having people within that community that you can befriend and say, can we work together? We're working on different things, but hey, what's your timeline like? When are you available? Is it morning, afternoon, or night? Some people work better at night. Some people work better in the morning. Some people in the afternoon is their jam. So finding those people that you connect with, that you also look up to, because you want to have people that are going to excite you, because we're always looking for excitement, right? So I like working with people who I like, and it makes me feel better when I finish, because I got to do with somebody I liked. And that's the other thing, is changing that way of thinking. Instead of I have to, I get to. I wish that actors were told this when they first start acting, that they are told, you get to do this. This is a privilege. This is an excitement. It is an adventure. You are one of the few who get to do this. So that when you go on auditions, or you have self tapes that you have to do, or whatever it is, you're doing it in a happy manner, because you are one of the few who get to do that. We don't talk about that a lot, because we're always looking at the negative. Oh, I gotta do this. Oh my God, why did my agent set me up on it? Well, your agent set you up on it, first of all, because they are going through the breakdowns, trying to find you work. They found something that they think is a fit for you, and hopefully you have shown them who you are, so that they are being able to align roles with what you do, instead of they're setting you on stuff that you will never be right for. But you didn't tell them who you really were. You went in there as somebody else,
Oh my
trying
gosh.
to be somebody
Let's
else.
let's get into that. Masking, because that's huge. Just think of a person who may have not been diagnosed since been diagnosed at a later age, and maybe masked all through life. So really not knowing who you are because you have a representative that showed up for you, most of the time, right? So just being authentic in who you are. And this thing is a journey. It's not saying you're broken or anything like that. That's what we did to survive at the time. And I'm sure I pulled out a couple of masks, but to take it off and to say, hey, this is who I am. And I'm a human being just like the next person. And I'm trying to do the best that I can. And you just being your true self, that's who we're supposed to be. That's when the jobs show up, when we're not pretending to be someone else. That's what it seems like for me, when you're growing up as your authentic self.
For actors, that is the most important thing. You cannot be masked up. It will not give you a career. If you are always covering who you are, or trying to be somebody else, you're confusing. Your brand is getting confused. Your representation, who's trying to submit you for stuff, they're confused. And then you walk in even more confused. And really, having a good career in Hollywood is not only about having the talent, but it's walking in your authentic self. I just had a call with a young man this morning, and I get who he is, but he doesn't get who he is yet. And I said, okay, this is the deal. I need you for the next 6 months to walk believing you are a leading man. I need you every day to think, I am a leading man. I am a leading man. And I want you to go to the store, buy clothes with that in mind. I'm buying clothes for a leading man. I am a leading man. The more you take it in when you walk into a room, that's the smell they're going to pick up: leading man or leading woman. It's like, if you want to be somebody, Beyonce wasn't Beyonce early. She developed into Beyonce. She had the potential. I mean, I was looking at some of her stuff yesterday, some old stuff. She had the potential, but she went on a journey of self-discovery and discovered who she was. And it's taken, even though she started her career early, in professionally early, it didn't really develop for maybe 8 to 10 years. Really, who we see today as Beyonce. You know, not everybody comes out of the gate being who they end up being. I was looking at another actress who was in a TV show called The Money Heist. And I was looking, her name is Ursula Corbero, and she's from Spain. And I was looking at early pictures of her. It's not who she is today. I mean, she had kind of brownish, longish hair. She looked very pretty and sweet. And then something changed. She cut her hair off, spiky, black. I mean, and it's like, that's a star. She transitioned, to being who, I don't know if that's who she wanted to be, or someone guided her towards that, but now it's like you see the presence. And that's what not masking does. It's like, are you willing to discover who you really are? Another person who really grew into themselves is Jennifer Lopez. I mean, at the beginning, yes, she was a dancer, but she was all over the place. She was no, she now is a complete package. We know who she is, what she sells. But she was on her way. She had her dream, and then she aligned herself with a fantastic manager, Benny Medina, and then he helped her with her blueprint. You know, he helped her with her blueprint. He helped her with her mission and her goals. And she became one of the first people, because of him, who had all these deals. She had jeans and fragrance and all of this that was unheard of before her. I think Elizabeth Taylor had the perfume, but that wasn't happening. But she created such a stir that she was able to get all these contracts for all the create makeup line and all of this, and then we go on with the Kardashians that then took it to another level.
Sometimes I can see it in people, but I don't see it as any, like because I am neurodivergent. It's like, oh, welcome to the family, or it's just like, oh my gosh, if they can do it, I can do it. Anyone can do it. And you are absolutely right. Just knowing who you are, knowing where you came from and where you want to go, and just having that, just like your Bible every day. And this is where I want to go. And believing, just like you told that young man, believe it. Like you have to believe it first before anyone else is going to believe it. You have to believe it.
And you don't want to be, the thing is, it takes courage to believe. We can say, oh, you just have to believe it, but it really takes courage to see yourself bigger than you are, to be willing to let go of baggage of your past. In order to get to your future self, you have to be anchored in your present self. And that requires letting go of old stuff, right? You got to let go of the old stuff, because otherwise you keep looking behind. And God didn't give us a rear view mirror. He gave us a full forward mirror. So we have to be willing to let that go. It's like the little kid that I was informed the adult that I am. But I'm always going, okay, well, what does God have for me? Okay, God, what do you have for me? I'm looking forward, because I want to get to the finish line. I want to finish what he gave me to do. What is the assignment that God has given you to complete? And I think when you can align with that, because there's an excitement to that, instead of uncertainty, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. No, God gave you something. What's in your hand? Let's start with what's in your hand. How can you use that?
Yes, and I believe that we all have what we need, right? And it's that basic. And like you have to go really deep with people, and because they don't understand, I'm like, you have everything that you need right now, okay, to get to where you want to go, okay? But you have to believe it, and I promise you, every time things will show up. People will show up, to help you on that journey, but you have to know you already have it.
as well as nurturing those things you have. You already have the gift of writing. So now take some classes so you can learn some more stuff about it. Because sometimes we can see our gifts and we think that's enough. I know how to dance, I know how to sing, I know how to direct, but strengthening yourself by learning more of it, it really takes you further. I always tell actors it's not enough that you get auditions for stuff and you're going to put your camera on and tape yourself and submit it. You want to be prepared like nobody's business. You want to get coached. You want to know that material backward and forward, and you want to get in front of that camera. So when it goes on, you are that role. And whether you get it or not, people remember, oh my goodness, Alycia did the most brilliant job. We couldn't hire her because the guy we got, he was like 7'5" and it wouldn't have worked, but she was golden. And I'm going to call her back for the next thing.
I completely agree about that. I am a huge Bruce Lee fan, right? I was born in the 70s, so I grew up in that era. I had two older brothers. So, of course, we watched Kung Fu movies. And oh my gosh, Bruce Lee will always be like that one person in my life. He truly understood what it took to get to this level. And one thing I'll never forget, and I have this quote written down somewhere, but it says, "A man that practices 10,000 kicks is basically good at what he does. But a man who practices 10,000 kicks, one kick 10,000 times, is a master." And that always stuck with me about practice. Keep practicing, learn it even deeper and deeper. So that one thing just sticks with me. If someone can just see it from that way, that's practice. You're getting deeper and deeper and deeper into your craft.
And my Bruce Lee quote is, be water, my friend, be water. That's my Bruce Lee thing. I always think, am I being water? Am I flowing? Am I being flexible? Water moves, it's fluid, it's not stagnant, right? Water is it's going. So I love Bruce Lee, but that's my quote. I love that other quote. And John Wooden, famous basketball coach for UCLA, that under his tutelage, he brought so many players into the NBA, but he also was like, practice the fundamentals, keep practicing them and practicing them and practicing them. Do those basic steps, because it's the basic steps that make you famous. We don't push that enough.
I don't think we push it enough either. And that's one thing that Kobe Bryant was like, so like he said it. It's in the fundamentals, and sometimes we think that, oh, the fundamentals are boring. No, that's when it gets good. To know it, like to sleep and to be able to replay that in your head, that's mastery right there. But it's definitely all about the fundamentals.
And it goes back to, I get to do the fundamentals, right? I get to do it.
To right, instead of saying, oh, you know, we know who said practice, right? What we're practicing, and that person is, not where they should be. Very talented individual. However, they saw practice as, I'm too good for practice.
Instead of, what can I discover while practicing? It goes, connecting it to actors. What can I discover while rehearsing? Um, when I was taking a lot of acting classes, no one really taught me how to rehearse. They just said, go off and rehearse and then come back. And it took me a lot of years to figure out, oh, that's what rehearsal is. It's to discover. Because I was thinking rehearsal is you just repeat the lines, repeat the lines. Okay, let's do a little blocking, repeat the lines, and then we're ready. No, you work on your lines away from rehearsal, but rehearsal is you come in, you're discovering who is this character, who is that other character I'm talking to, what is it, what's the tension between us, what is it that I need from this person that they're not giving me, what can I do, is there a tell sign on them, like can I tell if they're bluffing me, all these things you learn in rehearsal. But a lot of times the crucial practice fundamentals, unless they are a really good coach, they don't understand the power of the practice. They don't understand the power of the rehearsal. They don't understand the power of reading over and over and over and over and over again. And then let's read it again. It's like, because our friends didn't like to read, so then we don't want to feel like, oh, I'm the nerd. I want to read. Ooh, let me highlight that. That's a good line. Let me, so we don't want to get busted. So then we go, yeah, I don't like to rehearse. I don't like that, and I worked with actors, famous actors who don't want to rehearse. And I'm always in shock. And I always think you are missing, you are missing the gold. Every time you have an opportunity to rehearse is an opportunity for you to mine the gold.
Right. That's right.
You're leaving money on the table.
That's right. And like, I'm so glad you mentioned that because it's exciting as you want it to be. Like, if you can like figure that out for yourself, reading a book or even reading the same book maybe 10 times, right? When someone says, "Oh, go read this book." Oh my God, like if you read that book 10 times, you're going to see different angles and different perspectives and I didn't know about this character. I mean, you can watch a television show and actually study it, right? So I love to watch something over and over. That's just one of my things. I love to read things over and over because I get different ideas.
And you also grow. So every time you read it or you see it, it's different because you have become different. And to that, I would, just because it's my favorite subject, the Bible. So every time I read the Bible, it's always different. It speaks to me in a different way. I heard a pastor a couple of weeks say this, and it really stood with me. He says, you get the God that you believe in. You're not really getting God, you're getting the God you believe in. So if you believe that God is not merciful, is a tyrant, is not really looking out for you, then that's the God you're going to get, because that's what you're believing. And it's like, how do you open yourself up to say, you know what, I want a relationship with you, show me who you are? Because we don't do that with people, right? We don't, I don't say, well, Alycia, I get, you're somebody who wears yellow all the time. I don't even know. I don't know what your favorite color is, but I've already decided, because you're sitting in front of me. I've made a judgment call. Instead of saying, what's your favorite color? What do you like? I want to get to know you, and we want to get to know people. And I always think of God as, there's so much more for me to get to know. I know 72 names of his, but I don't know them all very well. I have my list. I will focus on a name, or depending on what I'm in need of, and say, okay, Jehovah Jireh, you're my provider. Jehovah Shammah, Jehovah Sikkenu, I need you to be Jehovah Shalom for me. Give me that peace, oh God, peace. But to just go and say, tell me about Jehovah Shammah. What is that? And I think as actors and creatives, whether you are a writer, whether you are a director, a filmmaker, whether you are a music writer, a singer, to just get in that space of show me what that is. Ooh, I'm feeling like there's a melody here and I need to find words. I want that divine intervention. I want that download. Michael Jackson used to say that, when God woke him up in the middle of the night with a song, he hurried up and wrote it because he said if he didn't finish it, he was going to give it to Prince. God would give it to Prince. So he was like, and it's truth because we're all getting downloaded certain information, I believe, at the same time. And it's not that you got it first, it's who finished it first.
And that is so true about creativity. That's the thing. And I think I read a book on that. And it may have been Big Magic, but it was about creatives and actors and actresses and just having that spark of creativity and not just getting the spark and just letting it go. You are a creator, and connecting with the creator gives you the ability to go out and create. That's what we are as human beings are supposed to do. And we are happiest when we create something.
Yes. And that book, Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, is a fantastic book. Yes, it is. It sets your mind on fire. The synapses start firing off. It's like, woo, woo. And what I love about the brain is that the more we read or engage or start to discover stuff, our mind just starts
It
firing
starts
off.
connecting and firing off. Yes.
And that lie that your brain gets old, and then as you get older your brain can't take information. That's garbage. The more you put in, the stronger your brain gets.
Yes. And I think we talked about this about I took a class a couple of years ago with Barbara Oakley, I believe, and it was called Learning How to Learn. And that was mind blowing for me. The way she was able to just make this message so simple. We are always learning and we will learn until the day we die. And just like we have control over that. It's not just, you're born a genius and then that's it. Some people are doing, no, this is a lifelong journey of learning. And when you set your intention and consistently do it, then, other connectors, I like to call them connectors in your brain start to understand. And if like something that you really love, like for me, my joy of cooking, I can always associate something like that with cooking and it just attaches to that. And I can easily understand something because I know, how I learned. But that was it, it's huge. We're in constant state of learning, right? So if you know what you absolutely love and you continue to, learn and practice, you're going to be even better, you know?
Yes.
And
and
that's what, yeah.
and Barbara Oakley's Learning How to Learn is on YouTube, and you can find it because I just because of
It's
your
on YouTube.
conversation. Yeah, because of your conversation with Cynthia Respert, who is our AI master. We love her. Give her a shout out right now, Cynthia. And
We love you.
yes, that I went searching on YouTube and I found a bunch of stuff. So YouTube is fantastic. We love YouTube because there's all kind of great information for you to learn, discover. We are in such a great time that you're a 70s kid, I'm a 60s kid, and in order to learn things I'd have to go to the library and then find the books. And were they available? Maybe the books weren't available. And today we have the internet right at our fingertips. We've got these great AI things to give us information like perplexity.ai and ChatGPT and Gemini and the list goes on and on and on. We have the ability to learn more, absorb more, and expand our horizons.
Absolutely. I believe that we're living in like I'm grateful to be here at this time in my life because you are absolutely right. Back in the day, it was hard to get information. The encyclopedias that we had in my home were probably already like 20 years old. Encyclopedias were expensive. So we had a set, but they were out of date, but we still read those encyclopedias.
And your parents made monthly payments on those encyclopedias.
Yes. So now at the tips of our fingers, there's information here. Anything that we desire, if you stick to it and, just practice, like we were saying practice, have a practice. And I consider my religion also a practice, right? I practice it every day, so this is something that we will never cease to do, whatever it is that we want to do, just go forward.
Are there tips that you have found to help divergents learn that, because we do learn differently? Are there tips that you go, well, these are good tips, these work?
Yes. I will always say using the five senses in learning, right? It's just very simple. So our eyes, right? If you're a visual learner, sometimes, taste, incorporate taste into your learning. Have candy. I always, my daughter, I actually homeschool as well. So I always have candy for my daughter. So whenever she's reading and to be able to recall things, she can remember, hey, I had a peppermint or I had cinnamon, so that's another thing. Touch, tactile, hearing, so visual. So any way you can choose to learn, incorporating all five senses is a win. And you're more likely to recall. And I know for actors, there's all kind of things that we can, do. The way we pronounce words or just say word, word. So just those simple
I
things that
love
we
that.
can do, by ourselves and to make sure that we're actually learning and then we can demonstrate what we learn. Those are all helpful.
How about memorizing? Because you said use the five senses.
Now, memorizing, it depends on the person, but definitely having something in your mouth, just like small, just like a tic tac, right? And not like when you have to recall the information, you don't always have to have a tic tac in your mouth, but you can remember because you associated that with a taste can help you to memorize. Okay. And then rereading, just read, and recalling. Don't do it short spurts. That's a good thing. Short spurts. Do not overwhelm yourself with spending hours and hours, right?
What does a short spurt look like?
A short spurt could be different for everyone. See, for me, it would be maybe 20 minutes. Okay. That's about how long you can keep me. Okay. If I'm not interested, I'm good for about 20 minutes. Some people, maybe 15 minutes, some 90 minutes. You have to find out how long you can hold your own attention span or what's your golden, rule. But for me, about a good 25 minutes is a good time to study. Okay. Give yourself a break and not a long break, but maybe a short break, maybe 10 to 15 minutes and go right back to it.
Now, is the Pomodoro technique good for that? So it's 25 minutes, 5 minutes off, come back another 25, get off another five.
Yes, that's basically what the Pomodoro method is. But I think they usually use maybe like a 25 or 30 minute. That's usually like the staple time period. But I can say it works great for me. And I've seen it work great for other people. Just having a set time to do and just having that break in there and even exercising right after that or move some type of body movement or some other chore or just switching your brain or reading something else will help you to remember and to recall things.
Memorization is not a sexy skill, right? It's kind of discipline. We gotta make discipline sexy. We gotta make memorizing sexy because people want, sometimes memorizing is just about you sitting and repeating and repeating and repeating the lines. That's It's not that fancy.
And it's not fancy, but here's a cool thing that I learned about from Barbara Oakley is a lot of our learning and connections happen when we're asleep. So if you do get adequate sleep and you study before bed, and say you maybe had 3 hours of good study time, okay? And then right before you go to bed, you may look over, what you may have to read or lines or what have you. Go to sleep. I don't know how many times I've had an issue or something wasn't working right or whatever. There was an issue. I was frustrated. And then I would just go to bed, look over and say, "Yo, you know what? That's it." When I woke up in the morning, I woke up like, beep, I knew what to do.
I do that too. And well, for me, I find it works. Like if I have a situation to just, okay, I write it down. This is my problem. I need to have something, I need a solution for it. I need, and I just go with the problem. And I know when I wake up, I'll have the answer. And it works. At least for me, it's work. The thing is remembering to do it right before you go to sleep. That's the trick. Remembering, write down whatever the problem is, put it by your nightstand or on top of your bed. So when you get ready to go to bed, you look at it, you go, oh, or write it in your phone, because most of us, the last thing we see before we go to bed is our phone. So write it in the notes.
Absolutely. And that is a scientific fact that I learned like, wow, our brain is still working. It's cleaning itself. So the proper amount of sleep, studying overnight, no, I don't believe in it. And, because you can do mental overload and then we get into, unhealthy, ways of thinking, but to just allowing it to rest.
But that goes back to people not being taught how to learn.
That we were never like, I feel like I was never taught how to learn. I had to find that myself with self-learning. And it's like, why did nobody ever tell me? Like, why?
They assume it's kind of like when people say meditate. Okay, what does that mean? How do I do that? Oh, meditate, or just think about it. Well, what am I thinking about exactly? Because I'm a very literal person. Sometimes it's like if you say think about, what are we thinking about, and how will we think about it? I need the specifics.
Me and you, we are alike in that way. I take things very literally. So now that I'm older, like I used to feel shy about asking questions because, because of the looks that I would get. Now I ask, like, what do you mean by that? I just want to be very clear because we can go either way here. My mind is so broad, what what are we talking about? So just at and not being afraid to ask.
Yeah, and I believe that when you're listening to somebody, ask their definition of what it is so that you're on the same page. Because sometimes, this is where trouble happens. You have a certain definition of a word, I have a certain definition of a word, and neither definition aligns with each other. And then 2 days later, you'll say, well, you were going to do that. I said, yeah, I did. No, you didn't. I told you A, B, and C, and you did F, Y, G. I said, yeah, because you said it, I did F, Y, G. And so it really is. And like you, early on, I didn't want to ask anything because I felt like I was stupid. So asking made me look even more stupid. But I'm okay with it now. Like I was. So tell me what is. So explain that to me because I don't know what that is. Explain it. I want to know. I want to be with you. You got to explain. You got to explain it to me. I want to walk side by side with you, but if you don't tell me what it is, I'm not going to know. And for women, a lot of times we think people are mind readers. It has nothing to do with being divergent, but we do think people are, well, no, I don't know. I just went through this with my older sister, who I adore. She had a little blow up on me, And I was like, okay, so what is happening right now? Well, you knew I was tired and you didn't help me clean the kitchen. I said, well, I was tired. I had just come off a plane. I didn't know you wanted help with the kitchen. I would have helped you with the kitchen. I said, so let's do this. I need you to tell me exactly what you want so I can be of service. I am not a mind reader. And so you're giving me information like I should have gone in your brain and go, what are you thinking? I can't.
Yeah, I say that to my husband a lot. And it's so funny that you say that because we may think that if, oh, of each other, like, well, or no, no, I didn't. In that moment, I had no clue and always assume the best intentions from me. I usually always say that to my friends and family. Please, I said, I know my mind runs a mile a minute sometimes. Always assume the best, and ask questions because that's where we get, that's another thing with being neurodivergent is being at odds with family members, friends, and, then that comes seclusion because we are being misunderstood, and that's what we think. Oh, we're so misunderstood, but it's maybe the lack of communication and and say what you mean, be clear.
And take responsibility for yourself. It's like, I'm sorry, I did not know that, but thank you for correcting me. Thank you for telling me so I can do better. I can't do better if I don't have the information. Right, right. This has been so much fun. I feel like I have so much more good things about being a neurodivergent, and now I am better equipped as talent to go and do my work because of the conversation, because of how you have broken it down. I so appreciate you. I want you to tell the people how they could get your book. Finish it.
Sure. Finish It, The Art of Follow Through is available on Amazon. So if you look up Finish It and my name, Alycia Wells, by Alycia Wells, you'll find it on Amazon. My website, where you can also find me, is themindsparkscollab.com. And through my website, you can, contact me, join my community, which is free, which I'm very excited about, the Mind Sparks Collab. So I would love to, I mean, and that's my vision is to create a community where people belong. They can rant one day and then say, please help me, I need help or I'm having an issue. And you you have a family who cares and understands because we've all grown, through something in our past. So that's what I want to do, build a community for us.
And I will have all the information in the description below. I thank you so much for joining us. I know this conversation will help a lot of actors out there who felt a little lost. You have lit the way, the lights. Now we can go forth and be water, my friend. We can
Be
be
water, my
water.
friend.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. That's it for today's episode of Acting Smarter Now. Drop your takeaways in the comments. I want to know how today's conversation inspired you. And if you love what you heard, buy me a cup of coffee to keep this show fueled and fierce. Don't miss the next episode coming up right now because it's packed with even more tools to take you from undiscovered to unstoppable.